Welcome back to the Faculty Factory podcast, friends. I'm Kim Skarupski here at the University of Texas Medical Branch in Galveston, Texas. I'm looking at my new friend, Dr. Anumeha Bhagat. Welcome to the podcast, Anu.
Thank you, Kim. So let me introduce myself again by saying that I am Dr. Anumeha Bhagat, and I'm currently working as an Assistant Professor of Physiology in the Department of Physiology at Government Medical College and Hospital, Chandigarh in India. And along with this, I also am a faculty of Medical Education Unit in my institute and a member of the Internal Complaints Committee for Sexual Harassment of our institute. So, in my work tenure at the Government Medical College, which is now close to 15 years or so, I have been assigned the role of the girls' hostel warden. I have been member of the anti-ragging committee and the center superintendent for conducting various university examinations at the undergraduate and postgraduate levels from time to time. So I have assumed different roles from time to time. But my most active role as being part of the medical education unit in my institute has been conducting several medical education workshops for training the in house faculty. So, you see, in India, getting trained in basic medical education technologies is a mandatory requirement now for promotional purposes, for getting promoted in your career.
Oh,
So,
so you
earlier,
have to do. So you're saying in India, one of the requirements is you must have an educational component versus in the States, it's like education can be a pathway or one track that can be supplementary, but you're saying everyone must have a strong educational component.
yeah, that is
Oh,
very important, and that's a very recent development by our governing bodies that they have made this a mandatory requirement.
good.
Since the last 5, 6 years, it is a mandatory requirement. So once you become a faculty in the medical college, let us say at the assistant professor level, then in order to get a promotion to the higher level, you need to have done this basic course in medical education. And that is a prerequisite now. And since the time it has become a mandatory requirement, everybody is so much interested now in medical education.
Ah, can you tell us about what that prerequisite mandated curriculum looks like? What exactly is it?
Okay, this basic course in medical education is a 3 day course, which we conduct in the working hours from 9 to 5, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m.
Hmm.
And during this course, we have different topics like a workshop on framing educational objectives. We
Uh-huh.
have a workshop on formative assessment, and then another workshop on designing multiple choice questions, and several lectures also. But these lectures are again interactive ones. So during my FAIMER fellowship, when I was selected and I went to the regional FAIMER Institute at Christian Medical College, Ludhiana, I did not know at that time that I was going to meet so many well known names in medical education during my fellowship period. Like I was a complete novice in that field of medical education, and to my surprise, I met Dr. Rashmi Vyas there, who was to be my mentor for my FAMER fellowship. And Dr. Rashmi Vyas, everybody knows her so well. She's currently the Vice President of Intel and Senior Director of FAMER Global. So maybe it was my luck, and by chance I met her, and then she helped me in completing my project with the very small details which were required to fit in and make it a complete project. And finally, we could do it. She had that faith in me that I would be able to do it. And that faith that she had in me, that kept me driving. And my project one in FAMER was on students' awareness of learning styles and their perceptions to a mixed method approach for learning. So, as a result of this project, I concluded that although each student has a different preferred learning style, yet if they try to incorporate other learning styles into their own, then their academic performance will increase and improve. And this is what our results showed us. So, but we also during the course of our research work, we also came to know of the fact that students are mostly not aware of this learning style thing. They do not know whether it exists or not. Some might know, some might not know. So and the teachers also do not know how to explore this potential of making the student aware of this fact that it is feasible to incorporate different types of learning styles and make a mixed method approach so as to improve their academic outcomes. So the benefits would be in terms of the student achievements, and in fact the teachers also would be more satisfied as a result of improved academic performance of their student. Because from 2012 to 2014 I did my FAIMER fellowship, and that was a very dynamic time in the history of medical education in our country actually. So in 2015 the NMC, the National Medical Commission in India, framed a document which was the Vision 2015 document. So this Vision 2015 document was a landmark one because it identified two solutions for improving the poor condition of medical education in India. It was assumed that our medical education is not getting up to the mark with the traditional teaching, learning methods, and assessment methods. It hadn't been revised for quite some time. So, this vision document said one, that if we increase the number of doctors and improve the quality of medical education, then by setting up some short, mid, and long term goals, then we might arrive at an international scene. And the second thing it was proposed in to carry out a reform in the traditional medical education and to make this traditional curriculum more competency based. So this was the second suggestion of this document, and consequent to this proposed change, finally in 2019 our new curriculum was rolled out. Our new curriculum, which incorporated a competency base, that curriculum was rolled out. Since this buzz regarding the change of the curriculum had been going on from 2015 and even before that till 2019, when finally the new curriculum came, the thing was that many faculty at that time started understanding that they need to gear up their skills, they need to hone their skills of teaching, of taking that curriculum when it would be implemented. So many faculty started attaining and gaining this formal training in medical education by joining different types of courses. And so at that time, when I took my FAIMER fellowship, after having been selected for my FAIMER fellowship, I also completed the basic course in medical education, because then I realized that it had become a mandatory requirement for my promotion.
Right.
After having done that, I did another course on attitude, ethics, and communication skills, another one on curriculum implementation support program. And all of these courses were like very structured ones with thorough relay of the material in these courses. So so by the time in 2019, when this competency curriculum had been set into place, the benefit of this curriculums were many. First, that in this curriculum we had a clearly set, a laid down set of competencies, along with the teaching learning methods, along with the assessment strategies, all in one place in one document, which was the NMC competency curriculum for undergraduate students. So now everything fell in place. We did not have to grapple and look here and there. We knew there is a document where we can go and implement the things. And we were well equipped also. So then we started formulating the learning objectives for our subject, and other faculty in their own specialties started doing it. And in our department of physiology, all our faculty by that time had already been trained in the basic medical education course. And now we felt geared enough. We used to feel empowered that yes, we can implement this reform. And we also started documenting this implementation by taking up several small research projects, so that we could say that whatever we were doing was, we had a substantial evidence of proving that what we were doing was correct. Because on the other side, there were many faculty who weren't trained and they were like not ready to accept the change. So we had to give them proof that this change works.
Good.
So we tried our hands at implementing the formative assessment techniques, giving feedback to the students, conducting OSPs, the objective structured practical examinations, managing a flipped classroom, and also implementing a jigsaw technique for active learning of students. So we took up all these projects. Many have been published. So then that gave us a record. Our department is now recognized as a one who takes lead in medical education in our institute.
Wow. I love this is so fascinating to be in part of that history. Must be really exciting. And
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
really excited that you've built in the measuring impact, which is so important.
Yes,
And you said a couple things that I would love more clarification on. The first thing you said a little bit ago was for your project for FAIMER, you did a mixed model approach of how someone could teach to different learning styles. And I was wondering
yes.
if you could give us an example of what that looks like
Okay.
if I'm teaching and I want to try to hit the varying styles of learning. And then the second thing you just said was a jigsaw technique, and I'm not familiar with that. So I'd love it if you could
Okay.
answer or tell us about both of those things.
Yeah, yeah. I will definitely like to tell about that. So for my FAMA project, which was on the mixed method approach of learning, we used a questionnaire known as the VARK questionnaire. VARK. We used the VARK. V stands for visual, A is for oral, R is for read and write, and K is for kinesthetic. So this questionnaire actually addresses our superficial learning styles. Although there is again a theory of learning styles which says that there are some superficial styles and the other ones are deep learning styles. We cannot change very quickly our deep learning style. But definitely these superficial styles are very amenable to change and they are very dynamic. So my proposition or my theory was that if I could make the student aware that what is their specific learning style, like visual learners learn better by seeing the content. Oral learners are ones who retain better by hearing. Some are will just listen to the audio lecture and then retain everything. The read and write kinds are the ones who keep on taking notes, listening to the lecture, take a short note, and then make have registers, have notebooks for their taking notes. And the kinesthetic ones are the ones who learn by doing the using their hands. Maybe they learn the same concept better in a practical lab as compared to a theory class. So these are the four different types of learners, and we tried to orient our faculty also that you should try to mix everything. Just don't say that if a person likes to be a visual learner, I'll give him a visual content. You should try to give him all type of content, expose him to all type of these learning styles so that he grasps them at best.
Okay.
And on the background of this, we made small groups and we told each student what was their learning style. Individually we told them, but we asked other students to give feedback about their learning style so that a person who is a visual learner knows that how the oral learner learns and how. Then we just very slightly and very softly we started telling them ki, like, see, you should incorporate all these styles and all, and that seemed to work for us.
That's great. I love it.
And we
Mark,
did a lot
reading.
of
Okay.
qualitative analysis for that project, so that with Dr. Rashmi's help, I
Mhm.
did a lot of qualitative analysis on that. And
Oh, yeah.
this other one that you asked, Kim, was
The
about the
jigsaw. Yeah.
jigsaw technique. Now, now you know the jigsaw is a puzzle. The jigsaw puzzle, there are certain pieces. Let us say I have a full article of 10 pages or 8 pages, let to be easier, make it easier. And I divide that 8-page article into two pages. That means I have 4 sets of that article now. First 2 pages, the next two, and the next two, and the last 2 pages. And I divide my class into 4 groups. And to each group, I give only 2 pages each. So the
Oh,
whole class has been fragmented into 4 pieces of a puzzle. They have 4 different type of content, but then from the 4 different pieces of the puzzle, they have to build the big picture.
that's interesting. So one group is working maybe on the introduction, one per group is working on the methods, one on the
Methods,
results, one on the
results.
discussion. How do you get the same voice and the
Yes,
connectivity and the
yes,
smoothing?
yes. So because then the group one becomes an expert in the introduction part. The group two becomes an expert in the result part. The group three in discussion and the group four in the, let's say, bibliography. So then these members of each group circulate and infiltrate into the other group. They penetrate the other group. There they tell about the introduction to a group who was expert in the methods. So now the method and the introduction, they join together. They see, these were the material methods used and this was the introduction, the reason, the logical. So maybe not for a research article, but for topics that we commonly teach in our curriculum, like any topic you can take, like anemia, jaundice, or hypertension. We can break down that topic into smaller pieces, give it to
Oh,
different groups, and then they circulate. So we published this in the Advances in Physiology Education recently only. So we use this technique.
congratulations. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. I am trying to give so much detail of these techniques because I want to emphasize the point that we implemented a lot of these techniques that we had learned in our medical education courses into our teaching in the classroom and try to change from the traditional format into a more active teaching learning type of format.
It was became mandatory, but what was the transition period during which there was like a grandfather? I imagine, or did every person have to like grandfather in and say, nope, even though you were promoted 20 years ago, now everyone must take the curriculum? Is it mandatory from everyone in total or from like 2015 going forward? How is it rolled out?
Okay, so from 2019, it was like the curriculum had changed suddenly. It was like this, we call it as the competency curriculum. But to my understanding, it was more of a hybrid sort of a thing. Why I say hybrid is because in a competency curriculum, we have fixed competencies. We have the outcomes which are fixed, and you may take n number of years or n number of months to complete and reach that competency. For us, it is a fixed competency and a fixed timeline also. So we have to fit in the competency and see that certain set of competencies are achieved by the end of the first phase or first year, and then the next set of competencies get achieved by the second phase and the second year, and the next set goes and gets achieved by the third phase. So to my understanding, this hybrid approach is the one which helps us in implementing this competency curriculum in bits and parts so that some aspects of the traditional and some benefits of the traditional are maintained, that the students and the teachers are not suddenly at a loss of what to do now. So
Yeah.
they have something of the traditional over which we are trying to add our new format, so that maybe what I feel in the next 10-15 years, we have a totally competency based curriculum, which is way away from the traditional one. Right now, we are in a hybrid approach. We are doing a
Mm.
hybrid sort of a thing so that we can smooth the transition or ease out that transition.
Oh, wow, that's great. That's a lot of work, Dr. Bhagat. Could you tell us how do you gauge the engagement or the uptake of the faculty? Have you noticed over your time there that maybe at the beginning faculty were like, oh no, something more I have to do? And you said some people are maybe skeptical, like always, some people are. And then you started publishing and measuring impact and doing formative, summative evaluations. What would you say the attitude or the tone is now, 6 years out from the new curriculum? What are the faculty feeling about it and thinking
That's a
about it?
very interesting question that you've asked, actually. And when I came back after my FAIMER course, and I was inducted in my medical education unit, and suddenly a very dormant sort of a unit, the MEU in our institute, became very active. Like nobody knew the purpose of an MEU in the institute, or a new committee was formed, which was known as the curriculum committee. Nobody knew the purpose of these committees, and they felt okay. People who don't work go into these committees. But then
Right.
suddenly, when we started conducting our workshops on medical education, and these were supervised by the nodal center faculty also. Like if we are conducting a workshop, the NMC knows and tries to find out and tries to monitor whether we are doing it correctly or not. So we have a nodal center representative.
Wow.
They're observing us while we are conducting it. So then they started realizing that this is something which probably everybody will have to take, and it is not just a passion of Dr. Anumeha Bhagat that she's doing it. Then they started telling me, pointing fingers also at me, it is because of you that we are doing this.
Oh no. And you say, you're welcome.
I said, yeah, you'll have to do it. It's going to come from top down, and we all have to do it.
See, oh, wow, this is great. And so,
So,
in terms of your objectives, have you increased the number of doctors that you've been, putting out and training? And that's been the first objective. And then you said to increase the number of doctors that you
yeah, yeah,
trained. And
true.
is that
That
now, have you noticed the trend upward and you're meeting that objective?
Yeah, definitely the number of doctors who are being trained, like this course started in 2019, there has been a dramatic increase in the number of medical student undergraduate seats in our country as such.
Wow.
Like when I joined here as faculty, there were a class of 50 students. Now we have a class of 150 students. So from
Wow.
2009 to 2025, we have almost tripled the number of intakes that we are doing, and therefore the output is also going to increase. But my concern again here, this is a very important point that I want to make, is that the faculty numbers have remained stagnant throughout these years. Earlier also, we were the same number of faculty teaching 50 students. Now the same number of faculty taking care of 150. Three
No.
times the number. Yeah, that is a great concern for me, and things need to be addressed at this level, which I want to make a point here, that we need to increase the number of our faculty recruitments also in proportion with the number of student intake. Then only it's going to be effective.
Right.
Otherwise, things are going to fall flat, because we are always short of time, and we have got so much to do. Our hands are full, and ultimately then it's not possible. Theoretically we may say that we have done this x number of things, but practically we need more hands now in
Yeah.
order to keep this momentum going on.
Yeah.
It cannot always forever be on someone's internal interest and passion for a thing. We need to have working hands. Then only we can take this more farther in the future. And ultimately, the whole objective of this competency curriculum should be implemented as it was planned to be done right from the beginning. So I
Wow.
just wish that some of the people who are in the capacity in India of taking these decisions of increasing faculty numbers, it falls into their ears, and we have more faculty who are sharing hands with us and sharing the workload.
Well, they'll definitely hear this podcast and you can share it with them. But I remember hearing many, many times what we've all heard this: no money, no mission. And you can't have a mission that lives in the margins. We can't, if we're going to do things, we can't rely on the little tidbits and the little pieces to fund missions. It can't live in the margins. So we have to be concerted and deliberate
And
in how we
yeah,
budget for these things.
yeah. And apart from that, another concern is that our students, when they join the medical school, are at a very tender stage. They have just passed out of school, and they are 18 or 19 years at the max, very young, and they have just prepared for an entrance exam for entering the medical school, which is a multiple choice question based exam. So for 2 years in their lives, they have been just preparing on these MCQs and working them out, and they have somehow got into the medical school. And now we are putting so many things onto them. We are putting an early clinical exposure. We are planning a horizontal and vertical integration. We are doing a case-based study and analysis with them. So I think these students, maybe they are not still, they are young, quite young, and not mature enough to handle their own learning, because
Hmm.
till now, before entry into medical school, everything was spoon fed. You have the MCQ, you have the answer, you have the explanation. But now we are expecting to go for them to grow up very soon and very quickly. So probably when we introduce these new techniques in the classroom, these students always like these techniques. They say yes when we take their these things. They say that we really enjoy doing it, but then many a times it does not culminate into an improved academic performance also. They liked that activity of flipped classroom. They enjoyed it. They were attentive and everything. Concepts went on well with them, but when they are asked to perform again in the academics, they did not do that well as we had thought that they would.
Hmm.
Probably a more stronger component of self-directed learning, which we expect from them at this young age, is too much what we are expecting from them. Because in the Western counterparts, if we look at the Western counterpart, they are probably 4 or 5 years
older,
more mature than these students. So I don't know where it's going to lead us. Lots of
Wow. That's interesting. So how, Dr. Bhagat, what do the students do when they graduate? Are they going primarily into clinical practice, purely clinical practice? Some going into academic health environments, doing research, education. Do do your metrics include following those graduates to then ascertain their practice and their performance out after school?
so only the first batch is going to come out now. So it's a work in progress sort of a thing. The evaluation matrix of what we did with them and how it made them different or made them better or at par with the other previous graduates. That will all be still a evaluation and still a work in progress. Because without any substantial evidence to prove what we did was right, we can't say that it was right.
So the first class graduates, you started in 2019?
2021, 2023, 24. Yeah, 24. This year
Okay,
it has graduated.
5
And
years.
most
That's
of
a
the
5 year
times,
curriculum,
5.5 years.
5.5 years. Okay. So yeah, it's really soon. But that to me would be in addition to the pure numbers that you say going from 50 to 150, and then looking that faculty stayed stagnant. That's one, or, I think really important point to demonstrate load. But then another one that'd be more really impactful would be to gauge and do some kind of assessments with the graduating students, not only objective measures how they're performing on exams, but where they're going and what kind of jobs they're doing, and then maybe some kind of reflection on the investment in them has now paid off, like the ROI in this manner. And then that's another, if you like this, we need to do more of this, or to change this, we need to do more of that. And either way, we need faculty who will have the capacity to do it, and not as a volunteer because they have great big hearts, but because they're actually being compensated and valued for the work they're doing.
Yeah, true,
Wow.
true, true.
Wow, this is a lot of work. I can't imagine a big overhaul like that, but I think it's exciting. I like the idea of being aware of different learner styles and raising their awareness of themselves, their own learning style. That's the fundamentals of emotional intelligence, right? Knowing myself to
Yeah.
better manage myself, and then having insight into others, and then being able to manage relationships. So I think what you're doing is even beyond medical education. It's helping to grow leaders and how to improve emotional intelligence and communication and team building. So there's a lot of great things happening there.
Had a lot of insights from your summary here.
Oh, no, no, that's all you. This is super exciting. I really congratulate you on this incredibly hard work and heavy load, and especially when you add on top of it that you're publishing and measuring and collecting data. That is no easy chore. So thank you for the work you're doing to grow the field, and I appreciate you being on the podcast. And I'll leave the final word up to you, Anu.
Okay. Thank you, Kim. And what I feel that whatever I have learned through my FAIMER training, I think I should invest all of that learning into growing my region, my country into a more advanced medical education, so that we train students in a better way. So always feel that whatever we learn from other cultures, we should always translate into our own setup and try to incorporate the good points from that system of learning into our own, and then see how our medical graduates come about and fly all around the world.
Thanks for tuning in to the Faculty Factory podcast. We are a faculty development community sharing tools to build academic leaders in healthcare. Maybe you want to be interviewed on the podcast? Please visit facultyfactory.org/contact and send me a message there. The Faculty Factory podcast and website is sponsored by the Office of Faculty Affairs at the University of Texas Medical Branch in Galveston, Texas.